Welcome back and Happy New Year, guys. We have a new, fresh episode, the first episode of 2024. And today we have Paula Naeff. She is here hailing from Switzerland. And as my audience have told me, Shane, you need to shut up, let people speak. So, Paula, who are you? What do you do? And tell me why you do it.
Well, hi, Shane, and it's such a pleasure to be here. It's my birthday today.
Happy
Yay!
birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. You look like a monkey and you smell like one too.
Thank you. What a beautiful song. I've waited for this my whole life.
So Paula, tell us a little bit about yourself. How have you got to the deal room today?
Well, how long do we have? Like how many years?
Oh well, we got a whole hour. We have a whole hour booked out. So there is and there's nothing after this. I always leave half an hour for my guests, so you can go on for as long as you want.
Well, no, I'm gonna keep it short.
Okay.
Yeah, so I am originally from Finland. So yes, I do live in Switzerland, but I'm from Finland. And yeah, I'm glad I'm not there now. It's really cold.
Okay.
Yeah, I left a very long time ago. When I was 19, I went to study in the
Hmm.
States. In Finland, I grew up, so that's important to my story. Is I grew up dancing ballet my whole life, like
Wow.
classical
Okay.
ballet.
How did you get
Yeah,
into ballet?
and that was yeah. I mean, my mom put my sister and I to ballet school when I was like I think 5 or 4, 5, something like
And
that.
did that have like an impact on your like? Well, not an impact. Did that have any influence on who you are today?
Oh, big time.
Okay. How? Tell me,
Everything.
tell me more about that.
Yeah, I mean, it's a beautiful place to grow, and you develop a lot of different disciplines and awareness of your body and uh, respecting and loving music and movement and being able to move. However, I do not look like a ballet dancer, so my body type is not the ballet dancer type, and so even though being good and everything, the internal dialogue that started in my head was definitely not very healthy and
Okay.
drove me to not allow myself to dream and to kind of expect or think what are the expectations on me from whoever, the society. So I didn't follow my dream.
Wow.
Now
Okay.
that has,
Do you have
yeah,
it?
that has shaped a lot for
All
me.
right. So that's interesting. I think this is how we kick it off in the best way. Uh, not following your dream. I'm guilty of it too. Okay. I've done it too in the past, and I made sure the past 10 years I made it happen. I would not let anybody deter me from that focus. I wouldn't let anybody influence it. And I know that a lot of these kind of external influences have a big impact on us personally, and it can have like a massive impact in the way we develop, in the way we perceive people, in the way people perceive us. So walk me through that. What was that like?
Well, it's like living a parallel world the whole time, but it's a secret one.
Okay. Expand on that.
Yeah, so you have, this internal dialogue that's telling you you cannot even express it out loud what you really would like to have because, everyone else's dream is kind of more important.
Wow. So tell me one thing that you would have liked to have at that moment that you didn't.
I would have wanted to become a dancer. I was good, and I still am. Like if I go to ballet class, I can do everything. And now it doesn't
Of
matter
course.
because I do
Of
it for
course. Of
me.
course.
But back then, and then the only thing that was stopping me from pursuing that, from even trying really, like I stopped from going to auditions or things because I judged it myself first and said, well, they were gonna say no anyway. So don't even try. Don't even try. Like don't do it because you're just gonna be disappointed. And if you tell anyone you tried and then you don't get taken or accepted or you don't get something, then you're going to disappoint not only me but everyone else. So I just like learned this method of not telling anyone anything that I really wanted because I thought I'm not going to get it anyway.
Oh my God. So how did you break through that?
Well, then I did do things. So in my, in my story, like in everyone's story, there's always moments where things do work out. Not in the terms of like me becoming a dancer, yet I continued dancing everywhere I went. I went to study in the US. Well, that's very unusual for someone from Finland. It's not like you just generally go over and attend college in the US, but I did that. And that's also one of those things where I didn't tell anyone. I didn't tell anyone I applied. I applied for a scholarship program, and then when I got the acceptance letter, first of all, I was like, they got me into an interview with all these people who'd already lived in the States or had been there, or extensively. I'd never been outside of Europe, and so, but they accepted me, and then I got the letter. I called them. I was like, "Are you serious?
Wow,
Like, are you sure?"
that's incredible. Okay, so let's break that down. So you started out in ballet. There was this lens that you were looking through that sort of skewed your focus, if that's the right word to use, in terms of embracing the thing that's in front of you, and that's enjoying being a ballerina, enjoying the form and arts of ballet, being in front of people like that. And then you went through a few stages, which we'll go through too, and ended up in America. That's something you hid from most people's eyes, but that all led you to something today, which is what you are doing at the present time.
Mhm.
And what is that now? After all that, what are you doing now?
So I'm a leadership and performance coach and a speaker, now a published author. I'm a joyful person, just in general. I'm a mother of two, and I mean, that's what has come up through all these things that have brought me to this point where I had to go through a lot of hardship, a lot of questioning and doubting for most of my life. And yet now I see the point. Maybe not in everything. I haven't yet discovered all the lessons of all my now 47 years of life today. Um, and that's the beauty of it because I keep discovering that everything has its role in my life. So that ballet background is absolutely essential to everything that I do now. I draw leadership lessons from ballet, dance, from movement, from body, and going through, I mean, it ended up being so that I got really depressed after having both kids. That was the reality check for me where I couldn't pretend anymore.
Okay.
Having two young kids, I went really depressed for 7 years, and then coming out of that alive, and really was not easy, but that has put me to where I am now. Like all of that being going so deep, so low, that it has pushed me to help anyone, and especially in the corporate world or leadership, in teams, to help people realize, look, burnout, depression, all of that is not necessary. It's not necessary. It's not part of the game in any way, shape, or form. And it is preventable. And you can live a joyful life, whatever you do. When you work on it yourself, and you take the responsibility about yourself and not anyone else, because it's all you got is you. And then you play with it.
Wow, that's incredible. So I can empathize with that a lot. Now, 7 years. I'm taking a deep breath right now because that is a long time. My daughter has just turned 2 in December, December 4th. Um, Bit of personal information. I believe my wife went through postnatal, and our marriage fell apart as a result of it. We didn't survive. We didn't survive that period. I didn't know how to manage it. I don't think we had the right tools to get through it or know what was present, what this actual thing was that after you have a baby, a woman has a baby, the mind just gets completely thrown out of sync. And I'm really interested in knowing a little bit about, I think we'll probably have to have another episode, a completely different segment, but in those 7 years, can you walk me through 7 different types of emotions that you went through until you had that breakthrough at the end where you're like, this is normal. I can go through now.
Well, the first thing that comes to mind is you have no emotion. You don't
Oh
feel
my
anything.
gosh. Okay.
That's the worst place to
Yep.
be. You don't feel anything. Nothing moves your
Oh
world.
my God. Okay. Tell me another one.
And then there's a lot of, most of them are, of course,
The one
negative. There's a
yeah.
lot of,
If you could identify any
yeah.
without having to say you feel emotions, what are the things that, like, let's just say a short list, maybe it's 1, maybe it's 3, maybe it's 5, but a short list of, how do you put it? If you don't have emotions, experiences, thoughts, what are the things that kind of go through your mind in those 7 years?
It feels like it's in a very long, never-ending tunnel where people are trying to insert things that they think would help you, but you're not in a place to hear anything, to see anything. It's just no light. And until that moment, that one moment at some point, and there are such moments, I believe now, throughout the time, like, even throughout the 7 years, there probably were moments where there was something poking through that tunnel where I could have been able to open it up to, be able to get
Mm.
out. But I wasn't aware of those moments until a certain point where something happened. I mean, for me, my ex-husband and I didn't survive that either, but that was for me the point where everything, I just had to make a decision. I had to make a decision, a very radical one, to leave my marriage and to move out. And that meant that I wasn't, yes, I was there with my kids, but not on a daily basis as I had been. Was not able to work. So those 7 years, I was home every day with the kids. My kids, and they're now 10 and 12, so they're a little bit older now. But I mean, that one moment and everyone until that point had told me never ever make a decision as a life-changing major decision when you are at such a state of mind.
Oh my.
But that was the only way to get out. I did not listen to that, and I'm glad I didn't, because otherwise I probably wouldn't be here anymore.
I can look. I'm with you on this. And this, I didn't expect my Monday. Well, no, it's not Monday. It's Tuesday. I didn't expect my Tuesday to kick off like this because it's really hitting home for me. And I'm not a female, of course, but I watched my wife go through these emotions, and it was really hard. It was really, really hard. It's still hard to kind of stomach the things that have happened over the course of the few years. And I'm talking external influences, family getting involved, families pushing an agenda onto, for example, you probably know, but onto you on what they think you should do, how you should feel. Uh, you should just get over it or get through it, and that's not what somebody who's really internally, their wires are kind of a bit out of sync. All of this hormonal changes. Tell me if I'm right. You have a baby, you have this sack of nutrients inside you that's feeding your body full of emotions, feelings, you're attached to your baby. And then from what I understand, you have the baby and it's like you feel empty. And then this thing is right there next to you, which is your baby, and you can't what I'm hearing is you can't really show the emotion that you want to, and because you can't show that, or you don't feel the things you thought you'd feel, you kind of retract and you go into this place of like, I just want to be alone. I can't deal with this. I can't deal with the noise. I can't deal with all this external stuff. Tell me, am I right in some of the things that I've just said there? Can you like add
Mhm.
some color to it? Because I think there's men. This is so huge because okay, my cousin went through it. She went through bad postnatal. Because she went through it, she was able to identify it in my wife. My wife denied it.
Mhm.
She will not accept I had it. It's your family told me I had it and I believed it. Fair enough. We didn't survive that marriage, right? Um, and now we're in a place where there are men who are married to women that have just had a baby. There are women that have just had babies in corporate lifestyle, and they might literally have just hit the start line of this race of trauma.
Mhm.
And when you have someone like yourself who's been through it, it's like literally you're. I'll draw it. This is how I would draw it, right? You got the start line, you got the finish line. This is hell. So I've done it like this. So you got the start line, you got the
Mhm.
finish line. This is hell. And hell can be either from here to here, which is the whole way, right? Or you could say, let me tell you what hell looks like here. And you can kind of live your journey in peace, expect it. It's like running into a race and knowing that there's a big pile of crap on the floor. And if you step in it, you're going to screw up your shoes. If you know that pile of crap is there, you're not
Mhm.
going to step in it, right? So if you could give somebody a very simple tool book before they come and start messaging you and saying, tell me about this, how do I learn about this? What is the tool book you would give a woman on dealing with this particular journey they are about to go through?
The most important one, that the maybe the hardest one too, is to really internalize the idea that you do need to take yourself first. You are number one in every way, shape, and form. Yes, your baby, newborn, they need you to feed them and all this and the nurture and all that. Yes, of course, but they won't be fed if you're not okay. If you don't
Yeah.
exist, if your body doesn't work, if your mind is not working, there is no good coming out to your baby or anyone else around you. And this is like, I learned it the hard way. And it was throughout this whole time, I remember my husband telling me, take some time off and do this. Of course, he didn't have the tools, and nobody can fix it for you. If there's something going on, nobody is able to ever give you anything to fix it. It's your process, it's your work. But what helps if from the beginning and as early as possible, even if it's possible before the birth of the child, before you get into this other world, which is consists of feeding and diapers and no sleep, and you can't even take a shower like in
Mm-hmm.
peace, completely different. And if you can prepare for that earlier and already establish some things, like two or three things, even one thing that you do for you every day. It doesn't have to be a 2 hour meditation and doing the om or whatever. It doesn't have to be that. It can be just 5 minutes. Even if you're a single parent, because I was thinking about this and I was so grateful and glad that I had a husband on the side who was able to take care of my kids, our kids together, and was there. So I could have chosen to say, look, 5 minutes. All I need is 5 minutes. It doesn't have to be 50, it doesn't have to be 5 hours, 5 minutes. And just be by yourself, breathing, nothing else. That's it. If it's something else, if that feels like, okay, I need 30 minutes to go and get out, and you can do that, do it. Whatever it is, do it, because it's life changing.
Honestly, I'm getting like goosebumps with this one because it's just bringing back a lot of memories, and some good, some bad. Now, walk me through this one, okay? Um, as a husband that's been married, and you go through those times where you, as the wife or the woman in the marriage and the mother, you want those times of peace and just quiet, just that little bit of time for yourself. And I'm the type of person that I'm very selfless. I want to help. I always want to give a helping hand. And you want to help your wife because you know she's suffering. She won't open up to it or accept it. So you can't really give the help because it's like, no, I'll do it. But they're doing it. You know what I mean? It's like you're asking him like, hey, look, I
Mm.
want to be there for you. I want to help you. I want to do everything. And it kind of backfires a little bit. So what advice do you give those husbands that are watching this? Uh, they're trying to build a career. They're trying to build a future, build a business. And their wife's just had a baby and they're literally in the peak of this experience. What advice would you give the husband when he's trying to
First of all, don't try to fix it. But second of all, without asking what is it that they need or they want, because your wife won't know the answer. They don't
okay.
know. They don't know what they need. They just know that they feel bad. They don't know what will fix it. They don't know. So what helps is if, for example, the husband then sees, okay, well, for this 30 minutes a day, regardless of my own schedule, I'm just going to decide I'll take care of it. Or, whatever little things that I can take care of to make sure that it's at least not something that is left on the wife or, the mother of your child to do. Some little things in the household or little, even wordless suggestions of love being there, that I am here, I accept you, and all the different things that are so difficult to hear sometimes because the person who has the depression, the talk is negative, is hard, is very negative, and there's so much more inside the head that's never going to come out. And if someone's there, not judging, no judgment, just being there, accepting as you are, but at the same time, the husband needs to make sure that they take care of themselves so that this doesn't get to them in a way that makes them react for out of emotion and explode or get angry or you know show that frustration because you don't know what to do. So be there, listen, and do things out of your own initiative without asking what is it that you need.
Tell me the number one thing a recently like a woman that's recently had a baby, so they don't have to think things that the man should just know. What's one thing that they should do, just like every morning or every other morning, just to kind of set that foundation of, hey, I'm here to help, and if there's anything else you need, here's the first thing. I want you to kind of stack things on if they do come to mind, or you can start developing. But what's the one thing that a woman needs when she's in that phase?
At least from I'm going to only speak for myself. So for me, what now retrospectively would have helped is to have like set a routine, like openly say, look, this is our routine. So every morning you get to take a shower. Whenever, if the baby is still, the beginning, they don't have a rhythm, so you don't really know when that's going to happen. But whatever it is, you say, okay, I guarantee you can take a shower once a day. You don't have to worry about the baby, even when they're screaming and with this, and understand that the as a mother, you hear the baby like all the time.
Yeah.
You hear it, like it's like you have this extra ear to hear everything, and that's to be able to create some kind of quiet space and say, look, here, I'm taking care of this, and this is the routine. Let's set up a routine where that half an hour shower or that 5-minute break or this something else, whatever it is, can be established as a routine so that the mother, your wife, knows, okay, no matter what, this is going to happen. I know I can rely on that every morning, every evening, every whenever. This is going to happen. This is our schedule, and it's not a discussion. There's no, you don't have to ask for it. You don't have to discuss whether something's going to take place. Can I take my shower? No, it's there.
Wow.
it's already there because it's already been established. It's a routine. It's a non-negotiable. So a non-negotiable time from the beginning, that the biggest, yeah, this is a little complicated because when if it got to the point that you're already depressed, you kind of deny yourself of anything that would do good for you because you feel guilty. You feel like, oh, I have to be here with my baby. Oh, I have to do this, I have to do that. And then you like anything would be doing good for me is like, you can't do that. You're not allowed to. It's a guilt thing, and there's a lot of guilt in mothers, and that's what it is. So if it's already at the point where somebody is depressed, that is very hard to establish because the depressed person will deny anything that will do good for them. Or even if they do it because somebody says, no, you just have to go out for 30 minutes, they won't enjoy it. So if possible, do that, like all of this, establish these routines, the non-negotiables, the things that you don't discuss about already at very early stage.
Wow. I wish I met you 3 years ago, honestly, because I think that is a very simple thing. What you've just done there with prefacing a schedule ahead of everything, in my world or in my relationship and my marriage, you literally eliminated four of the biggest issues we had with just that one thing there. It really does address a
Mm.
lot right there because yes, I don't have time to do this. Yes, I don't have time to do this. I have to cook. I have to feed. But there was a point where I tried to step in and say, "Hey, just you sit back and relax. I've got this. I run my own company. The team is really firing away. They've got our backs. I can be dad 24/7 if you need me. Whenever you need that time, take it, right?" And like you said, anything you do is negative. So it just fell on deaf ears. So I think that in itself is just something. I think I could go into this conversation with you for hours, but we do have some other important elements that will be valuable above prefacing something that's hugely important. Um, After all this, ballet, you went through those times of real severe hardships. Maybe it's imposter syndrome. Um, you came to a point of having your children and then getting through that and being a leadership coach that drives performance. That says a lot. And I thought I was quite impressive with the things that I've been through. But I think the power of a woman and like having a baby, seeing that when I saw my wife push that baby out and that little human Bella came out, I was like, holy crap, what the hell just happened? It was unbelievable. It was crazy. And I just remember seeing my wife and she was just so strong. And then it breaks my heart to like think about all the times that the 3 years after that, how tough and how much of a struggle it was, and how much I wish I knew now that I didn't know then. So, why do you do everything you do now? Why performance? Why coaching? You was in corporate. Why did you take this journey in doing what you do now?
That's my way of helping people. That's my way of helping this world become a little bit kinder, a little bit more joyful, healthier, and balanced. And I know I can't change everything, but I know that there are a lot of other people who do similar things than
Mm-hmm.
me, like you do. You serve, and I believe all of our purpose here essentially is to
It
help
is. It
others.
really is.
Otherwise, we'd be living on our own little planets, I think, like the little
I
prince.
was living on the Little Prince planet for a few years as when I quit my job and I decided to become CEO. I took a bunch of life coaching. Um, it was the goal and the purpose at that point was how much money could I make? And everybody always tells me or told me, stop chasing the money. Stop chasing the money. Everything will come. Stop chasing the money. I didn't listen, right? I didn't listen. And I wanted to be the best CEO. I wanted to give my team everything that they could ever want. I wanted to put opportunities. I wanted to put commissions in their pocket. I wanted my entire team to be 100K earners at the very least, right?
Mhm.
And I wanted my clients to be successful. And in that journey, a lot of focus gets skewed along the way because problems arise. Then you start to hear people's influences, people's opinions, people's perspectives on how they think you should do it. And after a while, I'll tell you the truth, it got to a big, big headache. I didn't even care anymore. I didn't want it anymore. I had my team telling me what I should be doing in terms of when I should wake up, when I should be at certain calls. The business was literally fully functional. Didn't need me. That was the,
Mhm.
and a lot of people don't understand that a CEO's job of building a business is to work on the business, not in the business, and provide an opportunity where people can thrive. They can flourish, they can thrive, and you sit with them and you support them to help them get better. You don't need to be in the weeds and trenches the whole fucking time. And that's what I really, really I started to hate my business after a while, right? I started to get really, really annoyed with just everything about it. Then, and at home, I'm having the problems at home with my wife. So now I've got the business issues of where I thought I wanted to help people, the wife issues where I wanted to help my wife. Now I've got double the problems, which is even worse. And then there came a point where I had had enough. I was tired of certain people in the business. I fired a few people and I was able to help two. One of them was my best friend, and one of them I literally just met 2 months before that. I wasn't able to make payroll because pipeline just dried up. The team wasn't doing what they were supposed to do. I wasn't able to fulfill on my duties, so I'm accountable too. But when I got them to their jobs are at companies where the CEO and founder, he owns an aviation company. He exited his company for 135 million. He owns 10 other businesses. He gave them a life and a career. And I was able to have the conversation with my then co-founder, Dan, and he was like, mate, I'm working for a guy who has a fucking airline. Like, we've done it. I said, look, bro, it's here. We're here. We're flying to Denmark, doing this now. And that for me was huge. That was massive. Sonam, she is a data operations manager. I couldn't pay her. She, like I said, she went and worked over there. She's doing really well. She's employed what? Almost a year later. Those two people helping those two people was magnificent. And then I went through my separation and I went through a really, really downward spike where people thought I was going to fail. They thought I was going to relapse because I was an ex drug addict. And I didn't. I did not let anybody beat that because I asked myself this one question. If money was no longer a need, you've made your million, you're making more now, you've got every opportunity in front of you. Money is no longer an issue. So what do you do now? And the answer for me was, at first, it was make a podcast, speak to people. That's fun as hell. Speaking to people like you is amazing. Finding out and learning. You don't get these type of learning experiences on a discovery call with a prospect, right? This is a personal engagement where I just want to learn about you as a person and what do you do and how you can add value to other people's lives. And that way I help people, number one, is a selfless act. But in addition to that, the biggest driver is to help companies and startups where money is not so available. Giving them that money to help their dreams become reality makes all the difference. And then on the other side, where you have investors, and family offices, and private equity funds, the big money pots and zeros beyond zeros, that really excites me. Really does. It's not a
Mhm.
materialistic thing. It excites me, right? And to be able to make those people more money by putting good investments in front of them, now I can help people. And I don't, in some cases, there's a thing where I don't need anything in return.
Mhm.
And for me, that was the hold on what you said, help the world be kinder, more gentle, create more opportunities. And then there's people, mothers who are sitting at home, fathers who are sitting at home, brothers, sisters who are just like against it. They want to earn money. And I'm building a 7-figure club community where just by learning a little bit about the DXB hub, people like yourself, what we do, you can earn money. You should be able to earn 5 to 10 grand
Mhm.
every month by just literally being part of our network. So I completely get why you do it in terms of why this is now your journey. In 1 minute, what is it that your company does for those that would possibly take a step forward and say, I want to learn more? If you could give a 1 minute summary on what that is, how would you describe it?
You will live a much more joyful life. So with my work, I help people live a healthy, balanced life, become the kind of influence that they want to have on the people that they are leading, and just simplify things.
Okay. Tell me your definition of
Because
simplifying. How do you
when I was listening to you, and I was like, well, even in the process of building a company, or even in the process where, yeah, money does play a role, like how do you
Hmm.
create money? What if you are already then able to live on your purpose, live serving your purpose, and paying attention to yourself first? Not only the mothers, everyone,
Yeah,
like the CEOs. What if you paid attention to yourself first? That would have changed everything.
I think so. I really think so. It's always been I want to give and help and prove to people that I can help. I have the ability to do it, and I'm thinking I'm doing what's right for myself. But you're right. I'm really not, because again, I'm always feeling. So watch this. Tell me what you think of this line. I always paid people before I did myself, and I ended up suffering at the end.
It should be the other way around.
And what do you do when there's a disagreement, though, of opinions in that?
That's the hard one because you can't change the other people. You cannot change the other people, but paying yourself, not necessarily only in money, but looking at yourself
Hmm.
first, your well-being, and money is a part of it. Well, maybe if there's like either I get everything or and then they get a little bit, well, what if there's some kind of middle way to get beyond that very current circumstance? Because that's a current circumstance and that's not something that's permanent. So you keep your bigger vision still in sight so you don't get caught up in that. It's like in your shirt you have this, it's like this circle there. It's like a storm.
Naruto Uzumaki. I don't know what it is. Got it at Primark.
Yeah, well, the image is great because it's like a storm, and in the middle is it at any point of time, regardless of what the storm is around you, if you're able to find like a peace and that feeling good feeling, at least you're good. And that you then, whenever negotiations, whatever conversations you have with anyone else, you are in a good place to receive their message, and you are in the best possible place to give your message in a way that expresses exactly what you want to express.
Wow, man, that is. I wish again. I wish I did this 3 years ago. And I'll tell you what, right? The original business plan that we had in 2020, I still have it to this day, was we were supposed to go out to the market. The way to break into the market strong was to go out and set interviews with decision makers, whoever it was, and just speak to them like this and get some of these experiences beyond just work. Like, I don't believe anymore. It's 2024. It's not just work anymore. If I'm buying from somebody or you're buying from me, I really, to be honest, I don't care if you're from Apple, if you're from Apple's seventh cousin. If you are good and you can do what you say you're going to do and you can back it up, I will take that chance with you. But I want to meet the person. in terms of now, whenever I'm speaking to companies, that I'm trying to make life easy. That's my slogan: make life easy, which includes, if you want to sell me something, I do not want a meeting with you at all. Do not ask me for a meeting. I don't care. Send me what you do, how you do it. Send me an explainer video. Send me the price. Everything that I need to make a decision, send me that first. I've had questions. Where do I find this? If you can't find it, mate, then do not message. Like, don't message me. I'm not. I'm saving you time. I want to reduce that gap it takes for somebody to make a decision, because there's so much noise
Mhm.
and so much of a headache and so much wasted time. Do you know how much? 33% of your entire year is wasted on bullshit meetings.
Yeah. Oh, we're on the same path
Yep.
here because that's at the very core of everything. Like one of my core values is
Yep.
simplicity. And that's simplicity to just make a decision.
Exactly.
Because people waste, you said, waste a lot of time actually essentially making a decision where then you're wasting time actually implementing or taking action on anything because before you make a decision, you can't act on anything.
And that's exactly what happened, because I said, let's do this. And the stupidity in answers that I kept getting, because somebody else couldn't absorb, digest, and process the thought into execution side by side. I was confident I could do it. They didn't know, and they were confused. And I listened to that, and I put these things on hold. Yes, everything else happened as a result in terms of good, bad, and the ugly. But had I followed my decision, I could be 3 years ahead right now of that. And that's a regret I have, right? As much as I.
It was a lesson, I would say.
It, perfect way to say it. I've literally come to a point where regret is past, anxiety is future. So present lets everything be where it's supposed to be. But that lesson, again, anybody listening, if you are the type of person when you're a visionary, creative, you're a leader, you're not so confident, you're stepping into it, go for what you believe is right. Follow your gut instinct. Things will work out. Don't let anybody deter you, because once they deter you, you literally pause your success. And
Exactly.
that's what happened. So why I'm saying that is, based on decisions and doing things when you want to and having regrets or learning lessons. 3 years ago, things would have been very different had I followed my gut and went with my original plan. Now, 3 years later, I'm doing it. I'm 3 years behind. It's still going well. I may have more of an impact. But again, it pisses me off beyond belief. And I would hate people to have the same feeling that you go through a period of your life and you could have captured an opportunity, but you didn't, because you let somebody else skew you with what their doubts were. It's
Mhm.
unbelievable. So,
The thing that where in that particular thing, we all do some of that to some extent in all of our
yeah,
lives. None of us is perfect and always on top and on point and always listening to at the first second to our intuition. We don't. Some people learn faster than others, I think,
I
and
agree.
you can learn a lot faster to make the decisions that need to be made. And the most important part in that, if you are not alone, if you have a team, you have people who rely on you, who are helping you to discover what you need to discover to make the decision and still rely on your gut, you have to be able to communicate that.
I think
You have to be able to be absolutely transparent so that they know where you come from. Otherwise, there's always conflict.
it's very true, because help myself and others watching understand this. What do you do in those moments then where you do believe in your gut and the vision is right? You have conflicting decisions. You need to articulate that to the team. I was never given a book on how to be CEO, right? Or run a business. So you'd never know until you learn, or pay for mentors, which is hugely valuable, like yourself, to teach them these things. Now, how do you relay that message of gut feeling, confidence against a group of believers and a small group of doubters? What do you say? What do you say?
I just start with listening to them first.
All right, tell me more.
Listen, listening. That's something that that is probably the number one skill that you can develop as a CEO. You don't even have to be a CEO for any one of us humans, actually. It's the skill of listening. Listening to those people who you want to give a message to. You need to understand where are they? Because whatever message you give is coming from your state of mind. You've made it clear for you. It's clear for you, I
Mm,
hope, mostly. But you need to understand where these other people are coming from because they don't have your state of mind. At any given time, they don't. So if any important message is going to come out, you've kind of already made the decision. As a CEO, sometimes you got to make the decision. You've made it. However, you know there could be possibly resistance. There could be doubters. There are. What if you were to listen to them first and discover where are they right now for you to intuitively then know, okay, this is how I need to give my message so that all of these people who are listening are in the best possible way, place to receive the message that I have to give.
wow.
If you just spit it out and you have five people in front of you and they have five different mindsets, they had, and it's all together. The one had a fight with their wife this morning, and the other one was just their shoes got wet on the way to work, and that's just like not a comfortable feeling. And the other one just had a really good morning. They were able to sleep really well. That's totally different mind. And so, how they are going to receive any message from you, and especially when it's to do with a decision like a big one, where when you know, okay, I need to explain where I'm coming from, you need to listen to where they are.
That's a hugely valuable piece of advice that, again, if I had those learnings ahead of me, I was so impulsive and gung ho on let's do this. Because it was literally like when you see it, you know the vision's here. And even though you may take 1,000 steps to get there, they're always small iterations to the overarching goal. Now, you may take a few steps back, but you know that everything you're trying to do is a test to take you forward, a test to take you forward. If it doesn't work, revise it, see how it comes out. If it doesn't, revise it, see how it comes out, and then it will eventually push forward once you get the thing to click. That's enormous. I wish I did that. Now, delicacy in numbers is big. So, how do you differentiate the conversation in a group versus one to one conversations?
Well, in one to one, you have more
No,
depth
so like what I mean by that is in
because
terms of the situation. So let's give two types of business decisions. So it's the third of it's the 2nd of January. We have a team meeting today. These are the plans for the year. This is what we're gonna do. Let's go do it. That's one way. Or you could say, hey guys, how was your Christmas? I want to hear what you guys went through. What ideas do you have? That's the second option. Now, you're going to go into performance targets, commissions, earnings. Does that also take place? Or is it appropriate for that to take place in a team environment, or should that be individual? And then again, also with like your annual plans to introduce your sales kickoff meeting in a group or individually, like how do you differentiate the two on those? Like where do you say it's appropriate for groups if you're doing this? It's appropriate for individual meetings, one to ones when you're doing this.
I'm an advocate of just being open and transparent with everything because that creates trust. And that might be going against a lot of people's idea of like keeping, some things kind of
Yeah.
secret, but that secrecy creates non-trust
I,
because then it's always the back of your mind. Well, I wonder what they were talking with them, and I wonder what here, and then you make assumptions. We make assumptions and we make decisions based on these assumptions, which mostly are not true. because they're assumptions. How would we know? And this I learned from my whole life of assuming that I thought that this is going, expected of me. So I follow this assumption, which I didn't even know was true because I never asked. I never knew. However, this is how I conducted my life. And what I paid the price for a big time. And, luckily survived that. But that's why I'm like absolutely transparent. Yes, you have a team. Now, listen to them. Your team has so much potential. Each human has so much more than what they show on their CV. Like the CV is not them. It's not their life. What they're made, what they have to do in your team, what their job is there, their responsibility. Well, their potential is 1,000 times that. So being able to be there and listen and be like, look, first of all, let's make the goals together. It's not one person decision. Yes, in bigger organizations, you got to organize that in a different way because if you have 30,000 employees, you're not going to, it's a little different. But within those teams, it's important that everyone's heard, that even that it's not judged. Anything that comes out like the wildest, craziest ideas or, uh, listen to it. There's no place for judgment. It's not good or bad. It's just an idea. And who knows, the person who joined the team 2 months ago, you don't really know too much about them. And they were actually hired to do one thing, but in their free time, they're investing their time into, for example, a sport or a music or something else. And from that kind of skill set, they can come up with an idea that you would never have thought of.
You're absolutely right.
If you're open to that, and you wouldn't know if you were not transparent.
I think that was one of my strengths, but also it demonstrated some weaknesses that I wouldn't say like adverse to or anything or disappointed in, but there were the potential of some, like, actually the entire team that we brought on for sales driven was absolutely incredible. My co-founder generated over, combined, me and him, we did over 1 million in sales in our first startup business. um, my other co-founder, he never worked in recruitment in his entire life other than being a sales manager at another company, that where we first met in 2015. He built an entire recruitment process with video interviews. What was it, in 1 or 2 months? We generated very close, very, very close to £200,000 in revenue from that project alone in 5 months. Some of my team, Maria, she was another one from Colombia, and how meticulous and neat and organized she was. Unbelievable. Never saw anything like it in my life. And when we did start to come to a point, which was, tell me what your opinion is on this. We came to a point in year 3 where we literally exploded. The whole team we all figured out how we push this business forward in terms of revenue, social presence, awareness, email campaigns, phones, everything. We had, at one point, we had the team posting like once or twice a day in like an army. And the company website, literally, like the views, followers, it just spiked. And if I had a chance to do it again, listening, I think, is the number one thing I would pay attention to. Listening more. I tried to listen, but I
Mm-hmm.
listened with an agenda, and that was not good. Right.
Mm-hmm.
So, in terms of predictions for the B2B sector in the next decade, what do you think is going to happen? What are your predictions? What are your ambitions? What do you think is going to happen in the next decade to this industry?
Oh, it's going to get much more specific and individual,
You need
I
to be twins.
believe.
I think we're really, really operating on the same frequency because I'm 100% with you. But carry on, you go.
Yeah, it's like I live in a place where there's a lot of medical industry here and they create medicine, and I've thought about that. And then over there as well, I mean, not that I've never worked in the pharmaceuticals, but I know a lot of people, and it's going towards finding very individual solutions to anything. And we recognize more and more how, yes, everyone is unique. And that's why I also don't see that there's millions of coaches in this world, but there's no coach like me.
You're absolutely right.
And the same thing goes for anything. If it's a sales process, if it's a, yes, there are certain things you can, kind of do in a similar
Mm.
pattern, but this is the 12-step program to achieve exactly this is not going to work. And people are going to wake up. I mean, it doesn't work even now. That's why I'm like, I've never been a fan of you take these 5 steps and then this is exactly what you get. Because no, that doesn't work. Because it works for that person who created it, but it doesn't work for anyone else in exactly that same way.
I want to ask you a question on that. So yesterday I was spawning some thinking on sales coaches. And I thought to myself, oh my God, here's another bloody sales program from another sales coach who says he can do XYZ. And then I looked at it, and the fundamental framework for all sales, I believe, is the same. The fundamentals, the foundations are always going to remain the
Mhm.
same. You identify somebody, you speak to them, you qualify them, and close them, right? Repeat after that. Now, where sales coaches differentiate themselves, I'm finding it hard to separate the ones that have taken these 5 steps and literally just put their own spin on it and said, now this is what it is. This is the best thing since sliced bread. Or the innovators who have actually created something different. So they are dubbed themselves a specific name, like the Challenger sale, like Sandler, like spin selling, like Medic. These specific solutions, they still take the shape of the regular fundamental framework, but they've added a few things for this for enterprise, this for retail. How do you separate good from bad in uniqueness?
I listen usually for where is the inspiration coming from? How creative has the person who's created something that they're selling? How creative have they been in developing that?
Wow.
So, yes, like what's their inspiration? Was it just, they took a course or they learned this from someone else and they implemented it here and then they're giving it right away straight on and just put their name on it? Or have they learned those things from here and they said, oh yeah, I recognize that's here. But then they remember, well, as a child when I was doing this, and maybe you used to sell like rocks or I don't know, pieces of wood to your
Mm-hmm.
neighbors, and from that experience you learned something valuable that you recognize, oh well, that could be implemented in this sales process now 50 years later. Or where is the inspiration coming from? How many sources of inspiration are you using to create that specific, even if it then was your method that you are selling, but how much did you put in it? And the more creative that is, the better.
That is such a good way to put it. I think that is probably the best way I've ever heard it positioned, because it is hard. I think that's you're so right. I think there's gonna be we are in an evolution and a big transfer of wealth, a big transfer of career development, and that career development is going to take place where if you are a slacker and you think you're going to get by in life by mooching off people, taking positions at companies, and you're just milking them for your wage or your salary, that time is gone. I truly believe that,
Mhm.
and there is no room for it in my organization. In others, there's no room for a slacker. I don't praise them. I don't look down on them. I don't do nothing. But I don't want you in my business. And there's going to be a point where, so I'm not boosting myself up or anything, but I've created over 32 GPTs. I have a full-fledged system that I've built where I know who I want to speak to. I know how to get in front of them. I know what the communication angles are, the channels. Everything is process-driven. And I have operated this entire year. Well, no, let's correct that. From May to now, I've built and operated this entire business over 100,000 hours of content by myself. No help. Not from one person. And it looks like, well, it's the truth. I have 4 operating companies right now, and I'm the only one operating them. And it's because of systems, processes, GPTs, where I'm an individual that can explode or that does explode with what I do in a good way. And I want to empower more people that have the traits, the personality, the drive as me to say, hey, look, come with me. I'm going to take you on this journey with me, and we're going to make you into a fucking superstar. We're going to make you into a rock star. And I believe that that is going to really happen. So you thinking about the specialties, more of a more niche focused approach, I truly believe that that is what's going to happen too. Same to yourself. What's the best way? So a lot of this now, the deal room is focused on how do startups thrive? How do they get a good business going so they can get capital? Where do investors take the right information from this podcast and say, okay, he's got a point right there. This can actually help here, health, mental wellness, physical wellness, anything. Give me one strategy, actionable strategy for scaling and or investing in businesses in 2024.
Oh, what a good question. One actionable strategy. This might sound like it's completely off the grid, but breathe.
I did it. I'll show you one this morning, right? I'll send you the link. I did a cold bath challenge. Have you heard this cold plunge challenge?
Oh yeah,
Oh
yeah.
my God. So you probably know very well. In Finland, they probably do it a lot. They just go jump in the water because it's freezing cold. I did it this morning, right?
Yeah.
I watched it last night. I've been wanting to do it. I've been watching Joe Rogan and a few other people do it. And I don't have a cold plunge bath, but I have a bath. And I filled it with cold water. And I had my coffee. I had my breakfast. And I went in there. And the shock of my life. I'm screaming in the like screaming to my lungs. And the only thing that helped me was breathing. The only thing that got me through the 59 seconds of absolute torture was breathing. And I got through it. Tomorrow we're going to try to increase it. But you're right. A lot of people, they're holding their breath with stress. And if you don't know much about it, when you're not breathing, you're tight, your neck is tight, you're strained, your back is hunched over. And that breath of just like opening up your lungs and allowing emotion and space so things can flow through your body, which is why they tell you to breathe. And a lot of people don't highlight that. I think that's important, very, very important. And if people want to learn more about breathing and getting better with performance, leadership, I think my biggest piece of wisdom that I've got from this, again, this is why I'm not too focused on the business element of it, but the people element. I hope I get married again, and I hope I'm able to have more children. I know what to do now, for lack of better words. I have the tools to get through it this time. And that doesn't happen without meeting people like yourself. So thank you so much for you. But where do people come and find you for these tips and this advice if they really want to dig deeper into Paula?
Well, the best way is in LinkedIn. So I post daily on LinkedIn, and I'm active in the community. I'm also like on Instagram and Facebook, you can find me, but the most active I'm on LinkedIn.
Wow.
And there's a website as well. However, LinkedIn I think is more dynamic because I do post every day.
Well, what we do is all of like your content, your readily available content that you want people to see. This will reach 100,000 people every month. The podcast has really, really grown rapidly. We're at 11,000 subscribers across all of the combined networks with LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. We're on all of them too. So we give those links. We put those links in the title, in the summary, so everybody can really access them. So if you want to find more about Paula, definitely go to those links. Reach out to her. We'll definitely be on here again. And any last words for anybody listening?
Oh, I just wanted to say, first of all, Happy New Year. And then the second of all, yes, keep breathing. That thing. Don't forget. Don't forget, because we do.
Well, look,
Often, just as soon as this is over, it's like, oh, I forgot about it. No, don't forget.
breathing has helped me a lot. Like proper breathing, really, really guided meditation and breathing has helped me tremendously. So if you like this episode, please, it does a massive help. Just you don't have to subscribe to the video. If you do want to support what we're doing and think it's right, like, comment, share it with people that would get value, and tune in again next week for another episode. But Paula, thank you so much. Stay on for a minute. I'm going to push stop and we will see you all again.